Welcome back. In my previous video, I had hoped to analyze more than just the two games that I got to in that video, but of course I didn't, so I'm going to try to hit at least a couple more today. The idea, of course, is to learn something. I just ran the game review on this game, which I won, but I did have 3 blunders and 2 mistakes that hopefully I can learn from. This graph does not look like how I remember the game. I remember this being one of the games where I was behind for a while, and then suddenly realized I was ahead. But it looks like I was even or close to even most of the game, so I'm not sure where we should go. Maybe here where I lost this early advantage. I had a -3 advantage early in the game. I'm going to click the Z key to hide the answers over there. Let's see, what move is this? Okay, what I played here was knight to G6. Okay, that seems like a reasonable move. I had played the French defense, and very often in the French defense we try to get the knight over here to G6 to help aim at their E-pawn. Since I got rid of their D-pawn, but now I got to get rid of the E-pawn, and I don't have my queen anymore, so I'm going to have to get the knight out of the way of the bishop. That's the other reason to move it here, is to get the knight out of the way of the bishop. And then maybe play the F-pawn to get rid of their E-pawn. But that gave me a huge advantage, and I did not capitalize on it. Oh, I remember now. I remember on the very next turn I realized I should have played this pawn forward. I bet that's it. Let's turn on the analysis here. Yes, D4. I should have played D4 because I was going to get one of those 2 pieces. Okay. Yeah, this was a case where I realized it on the next move. It's not that knight to G6 is a bad move. It's my second best move, and I still maintain a very small lead, but I've now lost the opportunity, and they need to move one of those 2 pieces. It just looks so messy over here. Can I fix that? Okay, well, I checked several settings. I can't get rid of these, I guess they're called annotations. It just makes it really hard to read the move list. I guess anytime I want to read the move list, I'm going to have to click the Z key. Okay, because yeah, I can't even tell from this list what they did next. I'll just click the next button. Okay, they got the bishop out of the way, so it's no longer a pawn fork. But according to the graph, my next move was a mistake as well. I forgot to click the key, and this is still showing. It says I should have played H6, or I could have played bishop to B7. Okay, I'm not sure why bishop to B7 is so great other than it lets the rook out finally. But I played bishop to E7, and that's a mistake, and I'm not sure why. It's clearing my way for castling, which I intend to do here fairly soon. Obviously, if they take back, I can take back with the knight, because the knight just got put there. And then the knight would no longer be worried about the E-pawn, because without the help of some of the other pieces, I don't think I'd be able to get it. Yeah, I'm not sure why that's a mistake. I do understand the not pushing for the pawn fork earlier, but this one I'm not sure why that's bad. I thought they might take, they did, and and it would have been better to take back with the king, but I took back with the knight, so now my opponent is ahead again. Well, like I said, I understand the first mistake, not the second one. It looks like I had 2 big blunders right in the middle, but my opponent failed to capitalize on them, so I'm going to go here and turn off the help on the side. Oh, the Z key got rid of all the annotations but left the engine on, so so I saw what I was supposed to play. Oh my goodness. Lichess, you make this so hard. Both sites make it hard. I guess I need to come up with a new way of analyzing the games. It's so frustrating to try to deal with this, with these interfaces. What I played was rook to D7, and the reason I did so was because they have just attacked this pawn, and so I went to defend it. But that's a huge blunder, because now my opponent can... Oh, they can take this pawn. Okay, let's turn this back on. Wow, that's worth 2 points. That pawn is worth 2 points. 3 points. Giving up the E-pawn is worth 3 points. Okay, I understand it, but what should I have played? I already forgot. Rook to F5. I should have protected that pawn this way. Okay, but then wouldn't they have played this? G5? And why not? It says they would not have, but why not? And maybe the engine wouldn't have played it, but I would have expected, had I done this to protect that pawn, I think I would have expected an opponent to immediately play G5. But why would that be so bad? What would I do if they played G5? Oh, I would just move over. Okay. Okay, but we would have been even had I played here. Rook to D7 was the second best move, but it was bad enough to be a blunder because of losing this pawn. I'm just surprised that it's that big of a gap. Okay, I understand that one. And then on the next turn, I'm guessing I missed it again because my opponent went in here. I assumed to put a rook behind it. Why couldn't they have just put the rook behind it first? I don't know. And again, this pawn is hanging. What I should have played was rook F to D6 so that both rooks would be in line with this pawn, and then they could not take the E-pawn because I could take. But instead, I played my H-pawn. Maybe I was worried about G5, but now they can take this again. And again, all the annotations are in the way, so I can't even see. Okay, I understand both of the blunders were related to me giving up the E-pawn because this pawn is pinned and the rook back here is undefended. I got it. My opponent did not see it, so we just went on here and we were even for quite some time until right here, turn the engine off. I had just played here thinking that they might take, and then I would take, and I would have a passed pawn that they couldn't get behind. And I don't know what they should have done. Should they have done that? Because the evaluation said that we were even before I closed off all of that stuff. And they didn't do that. They played rook to e5 check. And I just went in here between the two rooks. So I'm threatening that one and this one. I don't know. Let's see what it says they should have played. They should have played rook to c2. Oh, they should have just gotten out of the way of it. I'm pretty sure if they had done that, I would have checked here. That's what it says. Then they would have taken, I would have taken, and then they would have played a4. Okay. Okay, but I would be no closer to getting my passed pawn down. From d2, my king would have to make 1, 2 moves to get that pawn, and then 3, 4, 5, and by that time their pawn would be down here, I think. But instead they went here, which was a blunder. That's minus 4, 4.7. How bad would it have been if they had taken here? Even worse. Okay. I mean, that's why I moved this rook here, is because I thought they were going to do that. That was not my best move in that situation. My best move was to get out of check. But rook to d3 was the same. All right. So yeah, that was the blunder that lost them the game. I wasn't sure about it because, I mean, their rook is still defended by a pawn. Here they did play their best move right over there, and then here, of course, I take their rook, and I thought they were going to take back with the pawn, and I was going to take that, but my opponent actually played their best move, which was taking my h-pawn first, which comes with check, so I have to move the king, which I did, but I'm still going to get that pawn when it takes back. I don't know why. Does it matter what order they do those two moves in? Backing up. When I take their rook, if they go here, it's going to be a check, and I'm going to take it, and then they're going to take this pawn. Those are the exact same moves, but somehow it's better to take that pawn first. We're going to end up in the exact same position with the exact same amount of material, but Stockfish thinks one of them is better. That boggles my mind how a machine can do that, when a human can clearly see it's the exact same position. It can't possibly be better than the exact same position. Or maybe it can, because computers are smarter than us. I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, they did take there first. I moved out. They took this one. I took there. And that's the exact position we would have been in if they had taken my rook first and then taken this pawn. But the fact is now I have this passed pawn that's very close to promotion. It's not even their best move to push their pawn, but they did. I'm not sure why, but the computer says just to let it go. I wasn't sure about that. I thought, I'm going to get out of the way of my pawn, which that's actually the best move according to Stockfish, and then they're going to start pushing. And then I'm going to push, and they're going to push, and I'm going to push, and they're going to push. I'm going to promote, and they're going to promote, and we're both going to have queens again. So I thought I had to go after it, so I went after it. But anyway, I was ahead for the rest of the game. I took the pawn, had no trouble promoting here. They did check me, but it was not that hard to get out of check, and started coming toward them, and then they resigned. I understand those two middle blunders here where I left the e-pawn undefended. I don't understand why it's quite -3 to lose one pawn, but I understand that. And I did understand the first of the two blunders here where I should have played this. Got it. And for some reason, it took a long time to load this next game. I just had stared at a black screen for, I don't know, a full minute, I think. But anyway, in this one, it does show that I was a little behind before my opponent messed up and gave me the lead at the end. But again, I thought I was behind maybe before that. I don't know. This game isn't that long, so I'm going to go to the beginning here where I played the Vienna game. And my opponent got this bishop out, which is my least favorite of the Vienna games. Oh, it says here just to go ahead and put this knight out. I've been delaying that, but maybe I need to learn to just do it whenever they place their bishop there. I think my fear is that if I do that, they're going to get this knight out, and then I'm going to get this bishop out, and they're going to get that knight out, and then we're going to be playing the Italian game. Or the one with the G, the quiet game, something like that. And I hate that. And also, I'm almost always losing that game, whether I'm white or black. I don't know why, but I think that's the reason that I'm afraid of playing that. But I did go ahead and get the bishop out, so we're halfway there. My opponent played one of their better moves, and it looks like we're doing fine. The eval bar is right at even here. And what I have been doing in this situation is getting the knight in front of the king, so I still have a chance to play this f4 pawn. But anyway, my opponent played knight to f6, so again, yeah, it looks like we're going right into the Italian game. But I did the knight to e2, and that is a mistake, apparently, because we dropped from even to -1 if they'll jump in here now. Oh, well, I didn't know that. I thought I'm just going to go ahead and castle. Is it really that bad? Okay, well, they did jump their knight in there. And in this case, it turned out to be the best move, although very often I have opponents that just get one bishop and one knight, or sometimes just two knights out, and then start coming, and I'm pretty sure it's not the best move most of the time. But here it clearly was. So maybe I need to put the knight on f3 and practice the Italian game, the quiet game, or maybe just start opening with one of those instead of trying the Vienna game, which it only works out for me if they put the knight out first, because I don't understand the other positions because they look too much like the Italian game. Anyway, I castled here, which is not good. Okay, I thought it was good, but no, now we're down -3 if they will get their queen over to h4 now. But then I know, they would be threatening mate there, but then wouldn't I just play the pawn up? But then they have this, and they have the bishop and the queen pointed there, because I didn't play d4 on the previous turn. Okay, well, they didn't play the queen to h4, so they didn't know the entire opening trap. They clearly knew something about it, otherwise they wouldn't have hopped this knight in here. You don't hop the knight into g4 or g5 in my case, unless you think there's something there. Although I'm going to start hopping them in there very often because, I don't know, out of my last 25 analyses, I think maybe 20 of them, Stockfish said I should have my knights out there on g5 and b5. Playing with the white pieces. I should have my knights up here. And it never says in the line why, but it definitely says I should put them there. So I'm going to try to do it more often. But anyway, I have the advantage now if I play d4. And we'll be close to even if I play queen to e1, which is what I did because I saw that they had a bunch of pieces pointed here. So I defended that with my queen. Now they are supposed to play what they should have played in the first place, which is queen to h4. I thought I had to play h3 here, and looks like I did, and I was right. But now it doesn't work. See, earlier, when they had their queen here, they didn't, but in the line that they were supposed to do, if when I played h3, their knight can come down here because of all the pieces attacking it, and all I had then defending it was the rook and the king. But now they gave me time to get my queen over here, so it's not as bad, and they should just put their knight back. Okay, so hopefully my opponent looked at this, and next time they can play the opening trap, they'll put the queen over here first, and they'll be way ahead. But they did put the knight back. My best move is to come after the bishop immediately, or still play d4. I did not. I got this bishop out, seeing if they wanted to trade. They are supposed to trade. Okay, so we traded bishops here. Now I have, a rook pointed down through here, and also the reason I did that was to open up this. Very often, my opponent won't notice a discovered attack. Now, in this case, their best move is to trade queens with me. I thought that it might be, and it doesn't bother me. I don't mind trading queens. But they didn't want to trade queens, and they just moved back a little bit. And when I have an opponent that I've offered a queen trade to and they decline, I keep offering the queen trade and chasing their queen. So I did this. It is still their best move to take my queen, but instead they decided to defend it. It was not my best move to trade here, but I did. I think it's not good because it opens up their rook, but we're still even. But at my level, I've just found that the ones who avoid a queen trade or decline it, it's typically because they don't like playing without their queen for whatever reason. And so that makes me want to force the queen trade if I can, because then they're in a position of uncomfortability. Is that even a word? They're not comfortable, and I'm more comfortable, apparently, especially knowing that they might not be. It doesn't always work, but anyway, I'm supposed to play knight to g3 here, okay. Not sure. I played d4 because I had doubled pawns. I thought I could undouble the pawns, but all they have to do is not take, because if I do take, then I still have doubled pawns. They're not supposed to keep coming with the g-pawn, but they did. Oh, and I was just supposed to take it? Okay, well, I decided to open up the center since they had neglected to get their king out of the center. And yeah, that gives me tripled pawns for just a moment, but they're going to take back. I have doubled pawns now, but now their king is starting to open up. And now I am supposed to take over here or play knight to b5. Told you. There's always a point in one of my games where I'm supposed to play knight to b5 or knight to g5. Knight to b5, there it is. And yes, I assume that's aiming for the fork, but they're just going to not do it, right? They're either going to protect with their king or protect with their knight. I assume that's what that's aiming at, but it always says to put it there. I didn't put it there. I put it on d5, hoping to trade this knight because, again, if they take mine, that would undouble the pawns. This time my opponent did take the trade, which should have undoubled my pawns. Except at the last second before I took here, I thought, wait, what if I took with the bishop? Because I have a rook pointed here already. Also, of course, there's always the option to get the trapped rook in there if they get their bishop out. But I took with the bishop aiming at their f-pawn. They're supposed to move their f-pawn, and they did. And now, of course, my rook is not pointed there. My opponent's still ahead. Even though I thought I was playing some pretty good moves, they're still slightly ahead. Here I am supposed to play h4 or take this pawn again, but now I played knight to g3. It said to earlier, but I was trying to hop in here, maybe aiming at that pawn, or if they took with the bishop, then that would undouble my pawns again. They're supposed to take my h-pawn, and they did. I am not supposed to take back, but I did, so now my opponent's at -2. If they'll play c6, which attacks the bishop, because the bishop doesn't need to be here anymore because it can't get there without the rook's help. It's going to have to retreat. I get c6. They didn't play c6. They came and took the free pawn, but now we're almost even again. I'm supposed to go toward the rook. I'm not sure why, because A, it's defended, and B, it can run away. So I don't understand the point of me moving toward, to defend the knight. It wants me to move up there to defend the knight, either f2 or g2. Well, I just moved the knight. That's where I was going to go anyway. And now the bishop isn't defending the rook. But they took it. Oh, and my only move is to take on b7 to get that rook. Okay, well, I took back, and now my opponent's ahead again as long as they play c6. But they didn't play c6. They took this, which was just a pawn, right? Yeah, they just saw a free pawn and took it. Now I saw bishop takes b7, and I guess they saw some more free pawns, so they went to look after these pawns, but I stopped that pretty easily here, and then they resigned. I was pretty sure that I was ahead here, and I'm pretty sure that during the game I recognized that it was because they gave me this, and it's not just going to be an exchange because they can't take back. I think it's just going to be the free rook, and then my bishop gets away. It says they are supposed to go ahead and trade rooks here, and then I would take back, and then they would get this knight out, and then I would take their rook, and then they would play knight to b6, but then, yeah, I would get away with the bishop. It doesn't really matter where to. That's what I thought. But where did I go down? I went down when they took my knight. Is that what it was? Yeah, because they were ahead until they took my knight. They should have just pushed it out of the way, or pushed the bishop out of the way. But they might have been operating on the principle that I sometimes use, which is if you can trade a piece that hasn't moved yet for somebody else's piece that has moved multiple times, because my knight's moved at least 3 times, right? It got out, at some point it went to g3 and then it went up here. That's at least 3 moves. I don't remember if it moved anywhere else, and their bishop hasn't moved at all. So just on principle, it's often a good idea if you can trade a piece that hasn't moved yet for one of their pieces that's been doing a lot of the heavy lifting. Not that my knight's been doing heavy lifting, but A, it's in their way, and B, it's been moving, and they can develop a piece and get it. So if that's their train of thought, I definitely understand that. But for whatever reason they took, and I should not have taken back first, I should have hit this first to stay even. Just to stay even, I had to take the b7 pawn first. But it says that then they would have taken on e4, and I don't think they would have, but then I would have just taken them. What? Okay, yeah, so right now my best move is to take this pawn, and their only move that maintains a very close to even is to give up their bishop. And that's because I'm going to take it, and then they're going to play c6, so I can't get the rook. Okay, and then we'd be even. Wow. But because I went here, now all they have to do is play this, and they're still ahead. Even though they're just up 1 pawn, and I have a more active piece. I don't think I would have to even retreat it, couldn't I? I could just move it forward, right? Maybe, I don't know. Oh, it says I wouldn't. It says if they played c6 here, I would first come for the rook, and then when the rook ran away, then I would move my bishop to c4 or e4, and I would just be behind about a point because of their extra pawn, which I guess is their g pawn. Well, that's about all the time that I have for today, but yeah, there was this one move right here. Okay, maybe I need to study this opening a little bit more deeply than I have in the past, because it seems like a lot of my problems are arising out of my opening. I know they say you shouldn't really study openings at our level, but if it keeps giving me a disadvantage early in the game, then it makes sense to look at it a little harder. Or maybe I can switch to something like the, whatever that's called, g4 as the first move. I don't know. Anyway, thank you for spending your time here. If you have any insights, feel free to let me know, and I'll see you next time.